Hello guys, welcome to the next Banter Blitz with me. International Master Andrey Ostrovskiy is here for you to share some experience. That's my primary goal, just as usual. First thing, I'm sorry for skipping my training Tuesday this week. I had a serious reason for that. So some people already know why, actually. So if you don't know why, I became a father for the second time. So now we have two boys, Mark and Eric. That's amazing. All right, just as usual, let me know if you can see and hear me well. On my end, everything looks pretty smooth for now. Just let me know if it's still all right on your end. And here is the message from Jose: stream is good. Okay, thank you very much for this. And let's get to playing. But before we start, I want to say that tomorrow there will be one more Banter Blitz session. Just to compensate the missing training Tuesday this week. Okay, now let's have a look at challenges. Just as usual, I will try to search for somebody I've never ever played before. So let me see if there is anyone. Here's the guy from Canada, character. So I'll accept this challenge first. And I'm playing with black pieces. Okay, d4, knight to f6. Knight to c3. All right, so it's gonna be Verisov, I think. So bishop to f4. Let's play c6 to prevent knight b5 in advance. Now I'd like to develop my bishop prior to playing e6 or something. Let's go away. f3, most likely preparing something like g4. Okay, so let's try knight to d7. Bishop goes away. Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying, but probably not the death sentence. So my pawn structure is very bad. No question. G6 is hanging. The only defense is king to f7. Yeah. The pawn structure is very, very vulnerable, but I don't think it's so big problem, especially after g5. I mean, position is getting closer. Not closer, but I mean, it's getting a bit more closed. That's what I wanted to say. I think white should have tried some like taking on h5 at some point. But okay, it's just a question of taste, mainly. So now, what I'm trying to do is to bring my knight to f5, kind of preventing the worst things. Am I having enough time here? That's a good question. So the knight is already on f5, which is great. Now it's closing both b1, h7, h3, c8 diagonals. That's important, I believe. What is next? Next is finishing the development, I guess. Yeah, bishop b4, pinning the knight, probably even intending to capture it, because it's potentially a very annoying piece. There may be a problem in general with white light squares, of course. I know what I would have tried as white here. Yeah, white decided not to do this. I was talking about the sacrifice of the rook on e6. I think it was very, very promising. Maybe just winning. I don't know. Now I will have enough time to protect what is hanging. I mean, e6 will be overprotected now, 100%. And I'm going to start with this move, which is quite good, active. I'm attacking d4. I'm protecting e6. I'm also thinking of some like queen b3 maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Bishop takes. That's a good question how to capture. I think this is natural. Let's check. G takes f5, g6. I can just take. Or maybe just go away. It doesn't matter. E takes f5 is also possible, but it damages my pawn structure. On the other hand, it doesn't give white additional resource in the form of this g6, because g6 may be good even as a sacrifice, just to open the g file additionally to attack my king. Yeah, you know, I'll just take this way. Looks solid. Yeah, my pawn structure is not ideal here, because I have these doubled pawns. On the other hand, there is no attack anymore. At least I want to hope there is no attack. Let's simplify the things a bit. Or at least let's try to do that. My knight belongs to e6, I think. So knight f8, knight e6 should be considered as a maneuver a bit later. What is this? Rook to b3. Okay, so what about just playing queen to c6? I don't see... Oh, queen takes b3 was possible. My goodness, I missed that. Fantastic. Just fantastic. I mean, that was so simple to play that move. My God. Yeah, with this sort of blunders, it will be hard for me to score well this time. Queen takes b3. I was even talking about it a bit. I mean, about the general possibility of bringing the queen to b3. There was just an amazing chance to do that. Capturing the rook at the same time. And I didn't do that. Wow. That is something. Okay, now what to do? Bishop is going to d6, I guess. But it's not very important. So let's bring the knight to b6, probably intending to put it on c4. Yeah, after I missed queen takes b3 resource, I think everything I'm talking about sounds like a complete bullshit. You cannot trust me anymore. Okay, so there's queen e6 threat, queen e7 potentially. Let's just do this. Of course, it will just exchange everything now. And I'm probably just worse. But I hope my opponent will not win this position. Let's see, can I go crazy now? I don't think so. So let's just protect a6, b3, all right. What to do with my pieces? I have no idea. Yeah, why not? Yeah, it's just a bad position. Of course. I don't even know what to try here. Everything looks just awful. Let's sacrifice that pawn. It doesn't actually mean anything. Try to bring our knight to a slightly better position somehow. It's probably just not possible. Okay. So the only chance to activate the knight is now. So going somewhere through e4, maybe to attack h4 pawn. I think it's the most realistic target for me. Should I play a5 now or just take here? I think just take there. So blockading this pawns and trying to bring the knight to attack h4. This is gonna be my plan. And I think I will be successful in it, especially after this move. I'm winning that pawn and feels great because this pawn is gonna be queen very soon. Okay, I won, but it was just a disastrous game. I mean, White had an absolutely winning position in the endgame, but then started playing not so convincingly. There was just an amazing moment after rook to b3. Just take that rook and win the game easily. Like here was an amazing blunder from White's side. I don't know. Okay, I was very lucky, extremely lucky here. I think at this very moment when I played bishop to b4, there is a possibility to take here. I'm not completely sure, but it looks just amazing. Breaking through light squares mainly. I think it's very logical. I don't have a light squared bishop anymore. My light squares are weak, as well as my king, and rook takes c6 looks very, very natural. Now it's a good question to start with bishop f5 and then rook to e1 or rook e1 first. I don't know. Let's try just a tempo capture here. Then rook to e1, forcing my king to f7, then queen takes f5. So what's going on? If I just go back with the king, feels like there should be something. Queen takes d5, let's say. Check. King goes to f8. I can't believe black can survive it. So let's say, yeah, if g6, there is still queen f6. Maybe not so clear. But anyway, it should be somewhere close to winning the game. What else? Is there more convincing way to do this? Like g6 immediately? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just missing something simple. I don't know. Like knight takes d5 probably. Yeah, knight takes d5 looks very strong. Bringing another piece to attack with a nice point. If bishop takes rook, then there is queen e6, check. If king h7, there is g6, checkmate. If king f8, there is bishop d6. Game over. That could have been a masterpiece, right? Just sacrificing almost everything and checkmating my king. So when I noticed that rook takes e6, I was so sad. I thought, wow, I'm going to lose that game. Like almost immediately after rook e6. Don't know, but looked very promising. I mean, black's pawn structure was awful and so forth. After you played a3 and I captured here, I already felt very comfortable here. So at least I'm not checkmated, and the rest is just to play accurate chess. Yeah, and just capture rooks if they're hanging. That's the recipe. All right, thank you very much for this experience. That was pretty disappointing. I mean, my play, of course. Let's have a look. Do we have somebody else? I've never ever played before. Okay. Yeah. The guy from Australia. Let's go. And white pieces. I hope it will be easier than the previous game, because it's always easier to play with white pieces. At least you can dictate the course of the game. Okay, just bishop a4 and d3, my favorite line nowadays. b5, bishop goes away. And bishop c5. All right, let's undermine this b5. Intending just to take on b5, because pawn a6 will be pinned. So black has to make a decision right now what to do with that pawn. To play b4, to take on a4, to play bishop b7, or to play rook to b8. Those are typical ways to react to a4. And my opponent is thinking, I wanted to say, but bishop b7 is already played. So now we have a choice between knight to c3 and bishop to g5, I think. So let's try knight to c3. And if b4, then knight to d5. And that is, by the way, one of the ideas behind playing a4. So you kind of attack b5 in advance, and then you play knight c3 with a tempo and just directly to d5. Nice square. By the way, after knight d5, knight to a5 was interesting to try, just to attack my bishop. Now I think I will just prevent that with the help of a5 move. So now there is no knight a5 anymore. Pawns a6 and b4 are separated, so b4 is potentially a target for me. And I can attack it like playing bishop d2 and even queen to e1 at some point. And sometimes rook a4 may be played, just to add another piece to attack. Now I have to be careful, because black has protected e5, which means knight to d4 may be an option. Just next move. How should I react? Just to take an f6 and play bishop d5. This is one possibility. Another possibility is just to ignore this stuff. One more possibility is just to play some like bishop e3, and if knight e4, then I just capture with the bishop. That is also an option. I like this one. So we kind of fight in this knight d4 idea and at the same time develop our pieces. Why not? If bishop captures my bishop, I will take with the pawn to open up the f file for my rook, and just to make my light squared bishop much more dangerous attacking f7. And also to cover d4 and f4 squares, which is good. Let's see what black is going to do here. Because if black ignores everything, I may even take on c5, damaging black's pawn structure, I believe. Now the question from Twakus isn't c3 an option too? Yeah, c3 was indeed an option, but I just want to keep that pawn b4 on the board for some time and to see if I can use it as a weakness, as a target. If I play c3, of course I control d4, but after bc3 there is no target on b4 anymore. That's the thing. So I think this bishop e3 is a bit more flexible. I'm keeping just more options for the future. All right, now I'm just taking with the pawn for sure. Yeah, f file is open, which is already something. Rook to b8. Okay, now I think the most natural move is queen to e1. not really bringing it to g3, but protecting h4 square, because knight to h4 followed by knight to f5 or g6 is something that we should play here. But after this, bishop to c8, knight c6 is no longer protected, so I have a feeling that I can simply take on f6, and if queen takes, then knight d4 attacking that knight, so probably just winning some material. If black captures with a pawn, I'm happy to see that change in the pawn structure. So let's just do it like this. So probably queen for the minor piece and the rook, which is still a material advantage for white. So queen takes f1, e takes d4 or something I would have considered, but in that case I have bishop d5 attacking the knight, and d4 drops, by the way. If knight takes d4, then rook takes f6, knight takes b3, cb3, g takes f6. That pawn structure is also very bad, so I can play queen h4, rook f1 quickly, getting what I want. So I believe should be a quick win for me, but you never know, especially if you don't take the rook on b3. So but I think in this game everything is going to be smooth. Okay, just queen h6. So that was rather simple after black played bishop to c8. By the way, I'm not sure that I had an option of taking on f6 before playing queen to e1, because after queen takes f6, I don't see where to jump with my knight. I mean, I definitely have some jumps here, and most likely knight to d4 should give me something, because I can actually bring my knight to f5 quickly. Maybe that was interesting, to be honest. So like using this tactical motive to bring my knight to f5 as fast as possible. Like queen g5 doesn't help, most likely. I just play knight f5, and if black plays g6, I have this h4 move. Very strong. Now I'm winning the pawn on h6 at very least. So yeah, that was an interesting option. But queen e1 is also not so bad, I guess. So I'm just preparing knight h4. I don't even have to take on f6 here, but indeed bishop to c8 really helped. What was better for black to try here? I mean, knight to d4 was interesting in this position. And what I wanted to do here, I wanted just to take on f6 first, queen takes f6, then bishop takes on d4, or maybe even knight takes on d4. I guess knight takes d4, yeah. And if e d4, let's say, then just bishop d2, and look at this bishop on c5. It's rather passive, and black has double pawns, and I want to play just f4, and then the attack on the king side. I think it will be a simple attack for me, because at least that bishop is out of play. All right, so probably bishop takes d4 is better for black. Then I wanted to capture e takes d4, and then basically the same, so just something aggressive here on the king side, f4, and I believe my bishop is better than that one, because my bishop attacks f7, absolutely tangible target, while that bishop is limited with my pawn d3 and e4. So, but black is still playing, black is still in the game. It's always possible to think of something like d5 at some point. So you can play just rook d8, d5, and if I play e5, alright, you go away with the queen somewhere, not necessarily back. And then you play c5, c4, so also plan. It's not so clear position, that's what I mean. It's probably better for white, but most likely that advantage is not so great, okay? That is what I would have tried here in this position. A bit earlier, instead of playing h6, I think it was interesting to try this move, knight to a5. Maybe not even sacrificing anything, because if I take on e5, there is knight takes b3 first. And after cb3, you just take on d5. And you win the pawn back, I guess. Yeah, and you have pair of bishops, much better pawn structure, so I don't like that position for white at all. If I don't take there, then what? You're going to take my bishop, or alternatively, you're going to take my knight. If I play something like this, I should be ready for something like this. So b3, very typical stuff. Probably here I'm fine after intermediate knight takes f6, queen f6, and some like cb3 even. See, I'm pawn up, but my bishop is quite bad, so you may try some like bishop b4 check, bishop d2, then probably even knight back to c6, just to replace the bishop after the exchange. And I'm not sure how I'm going to improve my bishop a2 here, so you probably have a good compensation for missing pawn. So that was interesting as well. Anyway, thank you for the game, and let's see if we have somebody else I've never ever played before. So, okay. Almost everybody played at least once against me. That is very cool. So people don't disappear, but come back. Nice sign. All right. Elvis, my boy. We have never ever played, so I will accept this challenge. And white pieces again. Okay, thank you for that. So there is a comment, 3,000. Wow, I was actually at 3,100 points at some point, but you know, lost everything at some point. Just started playing like an idiot and went down towards 2,700s or something, and then gradually came back to something around 3,000 plus minus. I have noticed that ratings are inflating here on chess24, which is quite normal. The more people we get here, the more ratings are inflating. So let me remember, just knight to d2. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, having 3,020 or something was a guarantee of being a top 20 at least. Nowadays, it's no longer true. I'm not sure what you need to be top 20 just right now, for example, but it's definitely something like 3,100s, I think. Yeah, maybe even more. Okay, what to do now? I think we should try knight to e5. Very straightforward move. So it's the square where the knight should be in this pawn structure, because our main plan is the attack on the king side. We're gradually preparing that. So castles. Let's bring another rook closer to the king side. So Johan Wilhelm Möbis says top 20, 31, 4. Okay. Thank you for that information. That's what I'm talking about. It's no longer so simple. Do I need my queen on b3? I don't think so. Let's go to the king side. Amigo Alex asks, Andrey, how are you liking the games at Grenke? Unfortunately, and fortunately at the same time, taking into account the reason, I don't have that much time to follow. So have no opinion about that at all. So I can just take it if I want. Should I take that? I don't think so. On the other hand, why not? So how to deliver this attack? So rook to f3, rook to h3, sorry. Or maybe just bishop f6 first. I know I'm giving up a bishop, which is really cool, but I'm kind of compromising black's pawn structure there. I'm not sure. So. But now let's bring the rook to h3 and then we'll decide what to do. It should be scary at least for black. I don't have a clear route for my queen to the h file for now. But I think in a few moves there will be an opportunity to do something. There, so like maybe take it on f6, queen g4, queen h4. Maybe just moving the knight to g5 now, like knight f3, knight g5. Also not so stupid, at least at first glance. But anyway, I have a strange feeling that something is missing here in this position for white to be really advantageous. What exactly? Maybe just a harmony. I don't feel like my position is harmonious. On the other hand, I don't see a clear way to make it better. So now, like, if I play a3, there is probably just bishop d2, queen d2, knight e4, queen f4, something like f6, and there will be no checkmate there whatsoever. So I should probably save my knight on the board in general. But then, what to do with that a2 pawn? Okay, let's try this move. Let's see what black is up to. I think now we can do something like this. Go into f4 and then maybe to h4. Or maybe just taking the knight and bring the queen to h6. Looks good. Queen c4. All right, what about this? Getting closer. Getting a little bit closer. Knight h5. Okay. So queen g4. Just creating a threat of taking the knight on h5, by the way. And being ready to meet f6 with something like queen e6 or maybe queen g6. What black is going to do here? f5, wow, but queen takes g6. I think it's lost already. Yeah, it's definitely lost. If knight goes back to f6, there's just knight to g5. Rook f6 shouldn't help here, so I'm just taking the knight. Bishop takes f6 was also absolutely okay. Now queen to g5, creating sort of a checkmate on g7 at the same time. Capturing the rook. So, it's over. Okay. So what went wrong and why? First of all, after queen to c1, if you were wondering what would happen if knight goes away somewhere, let's say d7, I actually prepared this little combination. So takes queen h6 and then queen takes g7. That was the idea, basically, behind this queen to c1. So when I noticed that, I was 100% sure it should be the most promising continuation, because it feels so natural now to move the knight somewhere, because there is a sort of bishop f6 takes and queen to h6. I'm not really sure if there is already a sufficient defense or something. I'm really not sure. But maybe knight h5 right here could have been something before my queen joined the attack. So rook to c8 just invites my queen closer to the king side, so it doesn't help, I suppose. Rook f to c8 could have been an interesting option, just to prepare the, you know, the running of the king to the other side. Say queen goes here. What if you do the same like in the game? But here is a big difference. Now you have bishop f8 against queen g4, for example. So this position is not so clear. Okay. So there is a question. First, bishop takes f6. At which point? After queen to c1 and... Oh, you mean here just to take an f6 and then to bring the queen there. Maybe that was even clearer. Yeah. 100%. It's definitely much faster and much more efficient, because now I don't have to think about different resources of moving the knight somewhere to the h file, closing it, and so forth. Yeah, for sure. Just takes on f6 first, then queen to c1, and I don't see a defense against queen h6 except for g5 maybe. But then we can just grab it. Knight takes g5, yeah, it's lost. It's just lost for black. Yeah, you're right. So probably a bit earlier, there was a chance to play better. Like rook e3, I was not sure. b4 takes there, rook there. Yeah, probably here just takes the knight. And after queen takes d2, knight to e4. And then f6 next move. And there is no checkmate whatsoever. I think it's just a normal position for black. Maybe even a bit better now, because I'm not sure where I'm going to move my bishop after f6. My pieces are just placed awfully, especially if I play queen f4, then just f6. Yeah. My pieces are misplaced. There is no harmony whatsoever. So that was a real chance for you. Bishop takes d2, and then knight to e4 followed by f6. Rook h8 works. Where? Oh, seriously. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I noticed a bit later. Correct. Yeah, thank you, Twyhosex. Thank you for that. Indeed, this doesn't work. Knight e4. Then bishop d2 is no longer considered that helpful. If the main idea of knight e4 doesn't work because of rook h8, yeah, 100%. It's no longer an option. Well, it's a hard position then. At least I don't see a clear way to equalize it. Great. Yeah, correct. So let's go further. Now it's time to get back to normal order of challenges, and here comes Johan Wilhelm Möbius. So, am I playing with white pieces or black? White pieces, okay. No Rui Lopez. No Rui Lopez with black against Johan Wilhelm Möbius, which is always pain. Yeah, 64. Or Zweihoek's. You've noticed that instantly, which is nice. So you're probably better at tactics right now than me. Yeah, this line should be played a bit differently, Elvis, my boy. A bit different. So probably you should just take that knight earlier with your bishop, for example, and then create that quick counter-attack with the b5, b4, and so forth. I mean, it's okay. It should be balanced. Position there. Okay, so what's going on? Spending a lot of time, but we are playing 3+2, so I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Queen d2, preparing knight to a5, also preventing bishop to g5, and preparing myself for f4 move against f5, most likely. So just to play f4 here, like I did last time. Maybe black has prepared something against that line. If I remember that correctly, I've tried like taking on e5, but my pawn was already on c4. So it's not the same position, that's what I mean. Now, on the other hand, it's still fine. I mean, I have this b5 square for my bishop, and it's definitely much more active there compared to e2 position. I have pair of bishops. After taking on e5 at any moment, it will be hard for black to take with a piece, because in that case my knight goes through d4 to e6, which is very, very bad for black normally. If black recaptures with a pawn, there is always like d6 option. What I mean, black should be very careful here. For example, now, what if I just take on e5, and if d takes e5, then just d6? I find this position very promising because we're opening the stuff for my bishops. As I said before, if knight takes, I'll be happy just to bring my knight to d4. Okay. Good. What's next? e6 is protected by the knight g7. So, I can think of bringing my bishop to h6 to take it and to play knight e6, or another idea is just to play knight e6 anyway. After knight e6, d6 to try to use this d5 square, which becomes an amazing position for my queen, let's say. And, you know, I'm willing to try exactly this. Maybe I'm too optimistic about that position. I don't know. We will see. So I think knight takes c6 is forced. So d6 is weak. d5 square is weak. We have some targets. I mean, let's try to exploit them. Just queen d5, but then knight goes to g4. That's a bit annoying. On the other hand, we have bishop b6. will control a lot in that situation. So maybe I'm ready to sacrifice that pawn on b2. If I don't want to, I can always play bishop d4 against knight g4. But we'll see. I don't see anything wrong about playing bishop b6 against that. Okay, rook to c8 now. I think I can just play c3. Closing that diagonal for bishop f6. Still controlling a lot of squares with my pieces. Being ready to play rook to d1 very soon. h3 should be an option at some point. So e6 is on. Oh, I can take the rook. That was probably intended. I mean, just to sacrifice an exchange, but to make position not so boring, maybe. But I think it should be just a winning position for white gradually. Of course, maybe there will be a problem with my technique as usual, but I suppose I'm fine here. So extra exchange is the extra exchange, after all. Centralization. Moreover, we have enough files here to play with our rooks. A lot of different targets. Okay, let's just stop that knight. Now, centralizing again, re-centralizing even. Bring the king to f2 now. Should I bring the rook to d5? Yes, why not? Rook to d1. Now what? Let's play this move, covering c4 score. Preparing b4. Takes now. And bring the rook to b5, I think. To attack a5. Maybe even winning that pawn. Yeah, let's get there. Oh, f5 is heading as well. Nice. I guess knight c5 was anyway better. But it's a question of taste. What about rook c4 now? Then knight c5. Okay. Can I play this? And take that. And play this. Should actually bring me closer to the result. Oh, I should have probably captured on f5. But okay, this is also not so bad. But it's harder, actually. I won on time, but it's no longer that easy, I must admit. So something like 96, I don't see a clear way to win this anymore. So, again, I played not so well when it came to converting the advantage, for sure. But I think that position was, this position, sorry, was very, very good. So here, for example, I could have just captured on a5. I don't know why didn't I even consider that. So I somehow wanted to cover my main weaknesses here. That's why I played h3. But, oh, queen a5, knight c4. Yeah, that's why. But maybe I had something better than h3. Something like rook a to d1 just to capture d6 immediately. But then queen d6, rook d6, and like knight c4. Yeah, it's not entirely clear here. All right. So some tricks. Don't know. No. All right. Anyways, interesting game. Again, the same stuff like in the vast majority of games against Johan Wilhelm Nebus when I play as white. So we usually play the same line. And it's always about this e6, about this e5 squares. So what is more important? All right. So I prefer this from white's perspective. Well, it's a question of taste, of course. Shelling Ford is the next. And black pieces. Okay. So let's see what we can do against Shelling this time. Not sure that we can do much. Let's just play chess. What if we play knight e4 here? I'm just curious. I'm not sure it's a good idea. But let's try. There was a nice suggestion from Fuxia. Just play Caro-Kann. It's hard to play Caro-Kann against d4. Right? Oh, of course, you can play the Slav. Always. What if we take on b5 now? Queen takes b5 and we play queen to d7. Is it good or bad for me? I mean, after that, my knight will be definitely misplaced, but I think it will be misplaced anyway. This or that way. So at least we control some light squares here. So if white doesn't want to exchange queens, well, there may be some like knight to a4 next move. Knight to d4. Okay, but I can play knight a4 anyway, I think. Knight to a4, c4, knight to c3, queen d7, knight d7. What is that? I'm not sure, but it should be not so bad position, I think. Or maybe we should play a6 with a similar idea, just to force the exchange of queens. I mean, after c4, a6, queen d7, knight d7, b4 is hanging, bishop doesn't go to b2. So, I mean, my knight on a4 is not so stupid. In this particular case, it's doing something useful. At least I want to believe it does. Okay, now let's go to c6, I suppose. Continuing with the development. Okay. Here I wanted to try knight to e5, just to control c4 better. And then rook to c8. Starts looking very attractive, to be honest. Maybe I'm missing something, but feels like this c3 pawn is going to be just a huge source of a headache for white. Very soon, by the way. Alright, queen to a6 is something I missed. Just because I expected something still protecting c3 pawn, but white is doing the right thing. So this c3 is anyway very bad. So why on earth white should protect it? The other side, I don't see any problem with taking on c3 right now and going back to a4 with a tempo. Maybe even getting rid of that knight a bit later. So for now we're pawn up. We need only one move to make a castling. Bishop on b2 is hanging. Rook to b1. Right, let's take it just immediately because it's too valuable piece. And now, should we castle? Yes, I think so. All right. I guess we're losing the fight for the c-file anyway. So let's forget about it. What should we play on the other side? And how to do that? That's a good question. There should be something like a central strategy. Maybe just rook a to d8 and bishop to b8. No, then knight will get to c6 at some point. But to do that, white will have to weaken a lot. Maybe we should even provoke that. So if f4, then I'm fine with that. What to do now? Let's just go away from knight to c6. And then something like knight to g4, e5, so sort of attack. We have not so much time on the clock, so we should play faster here. We're still pawn up. After knight d3, the rook is hanging, so we should get some sort of a c-file here. All right. So if we get the c-file, I think we're very close to winning, but we still have to win this. Let's play knight to e5. Have some problems with my eyes. All right, what about this? b4 is under attack. Yeah, it's probably a poor conversion as usual. But we have something behind all these moves. Yeah, that was a bit strange. I mean, how I played it. Oh God, that was just a big blunder. I think knight takes b4 won the game. That's fantastic. Just something fantastic happening. Obviously, I'm winning now, but it's extremely lucky. All right. So instead of knight to e7, I think there was just a winning move that I noticed, but it was quite late. I mean, for me, yeah, where was it? So let's just go back a bit. I understand it was just time trouble for both players, but I think here after I play this, knight takes b4 is winning. A b4 and e takes f5, and this pawn should tear me apart, I think. Because my connected passers are not going anywhere, right? Typical stop when separated pawns are much more efficient than connected ones. Now, so it's lost for black. I've just made a lost position out of absolutely winning one. Most likely I had much clearer ways to play that a bit earlier. So for example, here, I can't believe... Well, b5 is strong indeed. If I take on c3, then b takes c6, and I'm not in time. But after that, this c3 looked so natural. Maybe I should have played this move first, just to control b3. Sorry. Maybe even to play bishop b2 prior to playing c3, c2, and something like that. But right now, I think c3 is a threat, right? So if king f1, let's say, then just c3. And then c2. Because knight no longer has this b3 square. So, I don't know, maybe something like knight to b1 is forced already, just to bring the knight to c3. Then I have to centralize my king. White is also centralizing the king. So it's not so simple. I missed my chances, I think, somewhere here. After grabbing the c file, it was already so close. Probably exchanging rooks was the wrong idea to start with. Maybe rook c2 is a move. But then again, just, yeah, rook d2 is not an option there. Because if knight f3 checks, so maybe knight to d4 or something. Or maybe just starting with a6. Come on, why wouldn't we just change the move order? To a6, I don't think white will play knight to a3, because in that case there is rook to c3 very strong. So I think knight to d4 will be played. And now we can play this rook to c4. But then again, there are some tricks like this, for example. And if I take on b4, there is rook c8, so I have to start with this move. Now it should be winning for black, right? Just should be. Okay, yeah, a6 was stronger than rook c4. Much clearer thing than this. Oh, now I see what I missed. After rook to c4, I didn't notice knight to f3. My god, that was so good. Just knight to f3. Yeah, rook c4 was also good. Just play knight f3, not knight to c6. My goodness. Yeah, we were blundering like crazy. Both, I mean, in this game. All right, anyways. Thank you for the game, just as usual. A pleasure to play against you. No matter what the result is. I mean, I'm losing more than winning against you. In any case, it's always a challenge, always something really interesting. Okay, Olaf is the next. And Karakan. Okay, one more today. ED5, CD5, bishop to D3. Queen to b6. Of course, queen to b3, because first of all, we are protecting the pawn. Second of all, we potentially create a threat of just taking on b6 damage in the pawn structure. And yeah, black has to make a decision now what to do. To move the queen away, which will be a waste of time, or to take here, where after we have the A file open and we have a nice resource of playing b4, b5 quickly. Not sure this is a move. This is a good move, I mean. But maybe my a3 is also not that great. So now what? Knight a3, knight b5 is a typical thing to try here in these positions. Does it work now? Knight a3, castling the lawn. Knight b5, a6. What is that? Or maybe just b4, but if b4, then bishop g6. For example, takes b5 immediately, and that goes to d8, let's say. Should be also an interesting position for me. I mean, we're having a lot of space there. Yeah, let's try b4. a6 doesn't stop me because a6 will be pinned. So I can still play b5. a6 will only amplify my initiative there. Now to bishop g6, yeah, I wanted just to take, not to waste time on anything, and then just b5. So there is a question from Karsten. Is taking on d5 better than knight c3 classical line? You should ask Shelling Ford about that. He's an expert here. I'm just playing what I find, simple to play against Caro-Kann. So my choice against Caro-Kann is just practical. When you play knight to c3, you have to learn a lot to get what? To get nothing, actually. Just to have balanced game, balanced position. When you play ed5, well, you have to do a lot to get a worse position, I suppose. So even without very deep knowledge, you're just playing, which is good. Which is, after all, the main thing. Actually, what we all want to do, just to play chess. Not to play according to, something learned by heart. I always find it a bit frustrating when you have to do something like that. It's not bad, I mean, it's just my personal feeling about lines that you have to learn by heart to get a decent position. And now it's an interesting thing. So bishop takes d6 comes to my mind almost instantly, and then relocating my knight to e3 maybe, just to attack d5. But I can probably try something like that without even taking on d6 maybe. Or maybe just to start with b6, a6, then bishop takes, pawn takes. And knight to f1. I don't know, but I have to do that, right? Maybe just castling, in fact. Then Dublin rooks along the a file first, just to attack a7, which is a weakness. And then we will see. So maybe we'll bring the knight to e3 just to attack d5. Oh, right, this drops the pawn immediately. Okay. Wow, this is huge. b6 is the main threat now. Okay, b6. King c8 is probably the only move. Just checkmate. Come on, what's going on? So Olaf is having bad time this evening, at least. So kind of, Olaf missed everything here in this game. At least closer to the end of the battle. Wow, I don't know. So, yeah. I guess it's better to play bishop g4 here, still. That line that we have seen already, so bishop g4, tonight. I'm going to say it. This is good. Then e6, just gradually improving your pieces, always having this bishop h5, bishop g6 maneuver. It's not so simple. It's not so simple for white to prove anything here. Anyways. All right. Talus is next. Accept. Olaf was distracted by that beer. Yeah, there is a nice conversation here in chat about the beer. There was a typo. So there was one comment where one of the guys said, I can pay Andrey. And there was Fuchsia to ask, what, a beer? And there is a nice follow-up to that question. Okay, so let's play e5. Olaf says, I drink no beer. That's great. How do you do that? Do you know a secret? Because I can't imagine how one can resist. Again, just my personal stuff. How am I supposed to protect d5 now? So knight c6, knight d5, knight d4 maybe. All right, so let's attack d4. Why did you start this conversation about beer? I'm now distracted too. Just like Olaf in the previous game. I cannot focus now. And at the moment we actually finish the show, all the shops will be closed. And the nearest tank stations as well. So I will have no chance. All right, maybe tomorrow. What to do now? So d4 is protected. Knight to a5 is an option. Bishop to b4 as well. Let's play bishop to b4. Just exchanging one of the attackers. Another idea is just to take the knight, d5 will be protected, and then just to play g5, forcing that knight to a bad position. At some point, bring the bishop to g4, then to f3, using light squares. Giovanni says, well, Andrey, I'll go to the basement right now and I'll bring 2 beers, one for me and one for Eric. Thank you very much. Zweichosek says, I can be in Bielefeld in about 2 hours with some. It will be too late. I will be sleeping by that time, I think. Let's take that knight and play g5. Go away. Go away from f4. Come on. To e2 most likely, because h3 is just very sad. And g2 is even worse. So I wanted to bring my bishop to g4, but maybe not so simple, because b7 is hanging. And I should care about that pawn, I think. But then maybe I've just weakened my position. Alright, Spike6X said, after midnight it becomes early in the day. Yeah, that's right. Also true. But I will be still sleeping already. Nevertheless. So, what to do now? Bishop g4, queen takes b7. I don't think I have sufficient compensation there. So probably queen to e7 first, just to cover b7. And then bishop g4. But this may never happen. h4, correct? So rook g8 is forced. Now hg5, hg5. It's important to have the pawn on g5 just to control f4. Otherwise knight goes back. It's very active there. So now I think bishop g4 is a move. We can do what? We can just castle on, play bishop f3, controlling h1. Or maybe we should start with bishop f3, controlling h1. And then win the fight for the h-file. That's what I wanted to say several seconds ago. Castling long, rook h8, and we're getting there to h1, I think. Wow, this is dropping a pawn on f2. Should I play knight g4 now? d5 will be hanging, but where the rook goes first of all. To h7 most likely. Alright. Knight f2, queen d5, knight d3. Well, not so clear. Let's just castle. And king b8. Yeah, so I have a feeling that white should be in the trouble here. Look at these pieces, they are misplaced. And my bishop on f3, well, it was actually very important because it's no longer on the board, it was exchanged. But even after that, well, I don't see how to deal with this threat of g4, knight to e4. Everything looks terrible for white. No coordination whatsoever, that's what I mean. And both bishops are just very sad, very passive. By the way, Andrey, it's a tradition in Germany to let the newborn pee. I think it's called Pinkelpatti or something like that, right? I've heard about it, yeah. Alright, rook c6 is coming. But we're not forced to actually blunder that, so we can just play queen d6 or something, protecting the knight. Bishop g4, what's it take? The rook or the bishop? Both are great. I prefer the rook. I'm pretty materialistic here. Because the rook is the rook. I4, okay, f5. Let's overprotect the knight on c6. a6, b6, that's what I wanted to play. And we can even try some like rook h7, rook to c7, just bringing all the pieces to the right places. But here is another target, another direction, actually. Knight to a5 is working. Takes. Queen to c6, I suppose. Knight to b3. All right, so what happened here? Probably nothing specific. I'm not sure that White reacted the right way to knight to c6 move. At the same time, I'm not sure that taking on d5 was possible. Maybe if you wanted to protect d4, you should have tried bishop to e3. In which case, I would have played bishop b4 anyway, I suppose. Similar ideas. But you have to make sure that I cannot play g5. So maybe after bishop b4 or something, you should just play h4, stopping me from that. And then if I don't react, you can even grab more space with h5. And it's a much better version of what we had in the game. All right, that's my recommendation here. Anyways, so probably it's time for the last game. And here is Dan. Accept. e4. Knight f3. So Sicilian and most likely Sveshnikov, right? If I'm not mistaken, yeah, that is what Dan plays. So if I remember the stuff correctly, there are two approaches here in this position. So the first is just to bring the bishop to g2. Another one is to try h4 followed by bishop h3. So after bishop g5, I think it's pretty natural to try this one. First idea is just to exchange light squared bishops. Another idea, maybe to force black to do something like bishop e6, bishop d5, where after we take with the c4 pawn and we fight for the c file. So guys who attend my banters regularly can probably remember one of my games against Pawn Holder. And there was something like that. He captured on d5 at some point. And there was a positional disaster. Alright, so queen d3 looks pretty natural, controlling f5, preventing black from playing f5. Knight is going through b7 to c5, also pretty typical stuff. But what if we just undermine b4 right now? And attack a5. Okay, knight is there anyway. Yeah, probably I overestimated my threats. Okay, let's try something aggressive. I understand it, it's not correct, most likely. But I don't see any other good-looking regrouping here at the moment. That's why I'm trying this. Stop with f4. There are good beers even in small glasses. That is very deep thought. Indeed. If we forget about beers and glasses, we can extrapolate that to any area of our lives. So, what's going on here? Can I play this move? It's getting pretty tactical now. So there is a huge risk I will just blunder something stupid at some point. For now, we're holding, so we have a bunch of threats. So the main one is just to take on f5 with the queen. A knight e7 check and takes on f5. Winning the rook again, just like in the previous game. And against this, I wanted to try what? Just to bring my knight to a better position, attacking the rook, exchanging queens, and then playing for something. I don't know what exactly. Feels like black's pieces are a bit misplaced, but maybe it's not true. Maybe my pieces are misplaced. Let's see. First of all, let's take this pawn. To make the knight c5 not so protected. So that's what I wanted to try next, just to take on a5, attacking that knight. Now I wanted to play rook b5. I can't explain why, but I have a feeling that that move should be correct. Maybe I'm wrong. Rook to b1 is another interesting resource. How black is going to unpin the knight? Is there a clear way to do that? Yeah, just rook d7 to b7, but the rook becomes no longer that active. There's still a problem with that pin, so let's try this option. I'm not sure about it, but it doesn't look terrible either. Okay. Now I think I can just take here. Right? Protecting the knight. Winning the pawn. So there is a comment here, top rated in Blitz. Amazing. I'm not top rated. Okay, I can take there with check. And then get back to e5. That's the point here. Rook is getting where? Rook is getting to f3. So let's just exchange it. Just to simplify this stuff. It will be not so simple to convert this advantage, because my pieces are not that well coordinated. But, well, if I have 2 rooks on the board, I think it will be easier. I guess from a purely practical point of view, it was much better for black to try rook takes f1, because now there is a problem with the g7 and with the keen hands. So I don't know, rook to g4, simple move. So it's very close now. There's a sort of rook g to f7, or another rook to f7 and knight to f6. But here black actually covers the f6 square, which is very good. We need a clear solution now. I didn't see it somehow. Yeah, here is the one. And checkmate next move. Yeah, nice finish of the show. Right? Right. Okay. So, it was a very complicated game. It's hard to say what went wrong. I think it was just fine till the very end when black somehow missed this. Rook takes e5, followed by rook takes h5. And after that, of course, my position became absolutely winning. But, well, that was a nice fight anyway. Thank you for that. Thanks everybody for watching this, being with me, commenting. So I found actually the chat today pretty cool. And yeah, I wish I could score it like this in each and every episode. This time though, I was, pretty successful in the sense of delivering the results. I hope it was also not so bad in the sense of explaining my thinking process and teaching you something about this game. After all, it's my primary goal. All right, one more reminder, tomorrow there will be one more Banter Blitz, so the same starting time as today. Wish you all the best and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.